knows everything, the Omniscient One. This world has been darkened with ignorance, which is foolishness and delusion. When the Buddha arose, this world became brightened with the Dhamma. The Buddha pointed the way out of suffering for all beings. There is no one comparable to the Lord Buddha in the three spheres of existence. He is well respected by all. He possesses the extremely valuable qualities that are purity, wisdom and compassion. He is the teacher who directs the way to Nibbana, the happiness that is deathless. Blessing to all in the audience. This talk has been arranged by Mind Development Foundation. The objective of the talk is to illustrate the large-scale relationship of the stars in the universe to Nibbana. Just like studying the map of Thailand, on the first page of the book one can see the map of the whole country on a large scale without detail. To see for detail, one needs to look up in the index for each area to find out the present location and how to proceed further. Likewise, in my talk I will include the development of the universe from the stars to evolution of the world and worldly creatures up to Nibbana. This talk will skip all elementary details which can be searched for elsewhere. Those who have already studied details will be able to see the relationship even clearer. In learning Buddhism, if we study in terms of philosophy, it will be confusing, since philosophy is based upon hypothesis, thinking and speculation. Philosophy can become confusing, just like blind men having a discussion after touching an elephant. Each will make a guess from a different angle, but not see from reality, not from truth. If we study Buddhism based upon science, by correlating it with modern scientific discoveries, we will have a deeper, clearer understanding of Buddhism. Science discovered the laws of nature according to reality. The Dhamma in Buddhism is also the laws of reality according to nature. Buddhism is even deeper and more encompassing than modern-day science. That leads us to have a more confidence and faith in the knowledge of the Buddha. The wisdom arising from his enlightenment was that he knew everything in the universe, so we can follow his teaching with both confidence and wisdom. Human beings since ancient times have longed to know the mysteries of the universe and nature around us. They have tried to think and use their imagination in various ways, and thus was born a religion based on blind faith. Then came philosophy based on hypothesis, and tried to find logics to support such hypothesis. Later on there were searches for reason from observation and experiments, which we call science. Modern-day scientists can only partially discover the mysteries of the universe and nature around us. A scientist who was a genius and a leader of the present period, who tried to discover the mysteries of the universe, was Albert Einstein, who discovered the theory of relativity. He was Jewish by birth, but had praise for Buddhism. He said, Buddhism is a scientific religion. Buddhism is a cosmic religion. Buddhism is the future religion, because Buddhism covers both the material and the spiritual. Modern scientists can understand physics and the nature of stars pretty well and can calculate their movements accurately. Some mysteries are still in the level of imagination, such as the theory of the Big Bang, or the theory of the world being created in 7 days. The theory of the Big Bang. In the year 1920, there was an American astrologist named Edwin Hubble who found that the universe was composed of many galaxies and each one travelled away from each other. When calculated to retrace the directions of these galaxies, it appeared as though they met at one spot. After that, they calculated the time backwards to that location. They assumed as a theory that once upon a time, approximately 15,000 million years ago, there was one gigantic universe called the cosmic egg. One day, this cosmic egg exploded violently. This event is called the Big Bang. After the explosion, there were gases pouring out, and finally they became galaxies with stars, planets, including the Sun, and the world we live in. We Buddhists should listen. Don't believe or object to the theory. We should investigate further according to the Buddhist teaching. Einstein mentioned that imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge without imagination will not lead to new research or invention. So Einstein had many imaginations, such as: number 1, the theory of relativity, which can explain the physical phenomena of stars. Two, he contemplated how the Lord shaped the universe. This theory might have popped up in his mind now and again. This is an unanswered question. 3. What allows a universe to last for all time? 4. This universe arose from nothingness, but it will probably disappear in the same way. This way relates to Buddhist theory about non-self, which is interesting because he had an interest in Buddhism. 5. He tried to study the unified field theory, which is the relationship of 4 kinds of energies in the universe. If he could solve this, the physics of the universe could be better understood. He did not find this out before he passed away. A conclusion can be made that modern science can explain some secrets of the universe and nature, but some are still speculation. We need to study the basis of current astronomical facts. I will lead you on a tour through the universe. Please follow. This is the sky seen in Bangkok on February the 20th, the year 2544 BE at 7 p.m. The universe consists of space, which has an infinite boundary, and astral objects, which can be divided into 4 types. The nearest type are planets. Tonight we can see 3 of them: Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, further away are stars. The brightest one is Sirius in Canis Major constellation. There are clouds of gas and dust at the belt of Orion constellation. The furthest away are galaxies. The galaxy that is seen in the sky now is a small star named Andromeda, M31, which is in the Andromeda constellation. Each galaxy contains millions of stars, and there are millions of galaxies in the universe. The Sun is one of the stars in our galaxy called Milky Way, which contains approximately 100,000 million stars. This is a picture of the Milky Way, which is shaped like a wheel. The Sun is not at the centre of the galaxy, but at the rim of the Milky Way. The Sun has planets circling around it. It is called the Solar System. Mercury is the nearest one to the Sun, rotating around the Sun in 88 days. Venus in 225 days, the Earth in 365.25 days, Mars in 687 days, Jupiter in 12 years, Saturn in 29.5 years, Uranus in 84 years, Neptune in 165 years, and Pluto in 248 years. The last 3 cannot be seen with the naked eye. The Earth rotates around the Sun, the Moon circling around the Earth. We are now sitting on Earth studying about the universe. We will now study about Dhamma next. The Lord Buddha has 10 special powers called Dasabalayana, the 10 supreme intellectual powers of the Buddha that allow him to know the truth of all things. Let us study about the universe according to the Buddha's teaching. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Homage to the Blissful One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. The Buddha has many names. One is Sabbanyu, the Omniscient One, the one who knows all. He said that on the night he became enlightened, he knew many things compared to the leaves in the forest. The things that he taught were only a handful of them. The main theme of his teaching was suffering and the way out of suffering. But we can still learn about the mystery of the universe from his discoveries due to his enlightenment. The word world, or loka in the Buddhist sense, can be divided into 3 characters. Okasaloka, or universe, Sankaraloka, or earth, is the one we live in. There are non-living beings such as mountains, and living beings such as trees, ones with minds such as humans and animals. All beings with mind, such as hell beings, animals, demons, Peters, humans, heavenly beings, fine material sphere Brahmas and immaterial sphere Brahmas, this is an imaginary scene when the Buddha came down from heaven after his 7th Vassa and taught his own mother. He came down to the town of Sankas, where he was warmly welcomed by his disciples and the town people. Universe. There is no beginning and no end. The Buddha, who can see the past and the future, found that in the past there were an uncountable number of enlightened Buddhas, and there will be an uncountable number in the future as well. From the time that the earth came to exist to the time that it disintegrated, there will be 1 or 2 Buddhas, but not more than 5. There may be no enlightened Buddhas on some earths. With an uncountable number of Buddhas, there is also an uncountable amount of time as well. That is the infinity. The future of the universe is also infinity. There is no boundary to this universe and its uncountable number of stars. There was a story about a very powerful ascetic. He wanted to know the end of the world or the universe, so he flew through the air at high speed for 100 years. What he found was that there was no end to the world. He died and was reborn as a deva and asked the Buddha this question: where is the end of the world? The Buddha answer was, the end of the world is in ourselves. The universe, which is the outside world, has no end to it. The number of stars are also limitless. Yegeji Sankara Achatawa Pahitawa Orarigawa Sukamawa Hinawa Banitawa Yedure Tandigewat Sabe Tangara Anija Dukkha Anattati. All conditioned things, inside or outside, crude or fine, good or bad, far away or close by. These conditioned things abide by the law of impermanence, suffering and non-self. Stars are conditioned according to the law of nature, also abide in the same law of impermanence, suffering and non-self. In a simplified way, the stars also have birth, old age, sickness and death in the same manner. We can tell how old a star is by its colour. The blue are the small child stars. The white are the teenage stars. The yellow are the young adult stars. The orange are the old stars. The red are the sick stars. And the black are the dead stars, or the black hole. Let us look at the stars in the sky. The blue small child star is called Rigel and is found in Orion constellation. The white teenage star is called Sirius and is found in Canis Major constellation. The yellow young adult star is called Capella and is found in Auriga constellation. The orange old star is called Aldebaran and is found in Taurus constellation. The red sixth star is called Betelgeuse and is found in Orion constellation. The black dead star is called the black hole and is invisible. The Sun, a young star, is yellow. The average age of all stars is about 10,000 million years, approximately half of this average age. Compared to a man with an average lifespan of 75 years, presently the Sun is comparable to a young man of 37 and a half. The universe has an endless past, an endless future, and endless boundaries. The number of stars are limitless. Each of the stars also abides by the law of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. This is an endless cycle of birth and death at the level of the stars. Looking at stars in the sky in a romantic way will increase defilement of the mind. However, looking in the way of Dhamma to see impermanence, suffering and non-self, it will reduce the defilements of the mind. In scientific circles, there is a theory of a so-called steady state theory. It describes the universe with no beginning and no end. Stars also have birth and death, but on average result in the universe being perpetually constant. This steady state theory used to be a rival of the Big Bang theory. However, currently scientists tend to believe more in the Big Bang theory in a way of creation by God, since it can still involve more imagination, while the steady state theory is too realistic and needs no further imagination. This theory has opposition from many philosophers. Einstein may have believed in the Buddha and also in the steady state theory when he pondered what allows the universe to last for all time. As a scientist, he had to study for clear evidence to explain it. He formulated the unified field theory that described the relationship of four kinds of energy in the universe to explain the real phenomena of the universe. However, unfortunately, he died before he could explain his theory. Modern-day scientists are still trying to solve it, but still remain unsuccessful. If someone asks a pure scientist about the origin of the universe, he will instead be asked to wait until the real answer is uncovered. A fact, unified and without arguments. Earth. The earth that we live in contains non-living things such as soil, rocks and such. It contains living things such as trees and plants, and living things with minds such as human beings and animals. There was a description of the earth since the time of the Buddha that it is round in the shape of Emblick myrobalan flute. The land is held by the water by the air is held by space. However, general knowledge at that time was limited. How did the earth originate? It was a natural process. With optimal temperature, the 4 elements arose. With the 4 elements, lives arose. With lives arose the mind. With the mind arose the kamas. With kamas arose Dhamma. Elements in this sense are not elements like hydrogen or oxygen, but refer to conditions or states, for example. The earth element refers to a solid state. The water element refers to a liquid state. The fire element refers to a heat state. The air element refers to a gas state. The 4 elements give rise to life. Scientists have tried to find the water element on various planets. If water had been discovered, they would have found traces of life. However, they had not found it, and it may be exclusive only to Earth. When life is present, minds arise. Mind is the knowing, so living beings with body and mind arose. With the arising of the mind arose the kamas. Kamas are volitions, wholesome and unwholesome. When 2 living beings come near to each other, they either love or hate each other. With love they help each other. With hate they destroy each other. This is how kamas arose. With kamas arose Dhamma. Dhamma is the law of nature, the law of life, the law of karma. Cycles of birth and death are laws of karma carried over to the next life. Suffering and the way out of suffering. Suffering is the basis of life, and the way out of suffering is to develop the mind to the higher stage to be free from suffering. In Buddhism, there's a description of successive evolution in the nature called 5 Dhamma Niyama. Niyama means law. The 5 Dhamma Niyama are as follows. 1. Physical law. 2. Biological law. 3. Psychic law. 4. Karmic law, or the law of will, or volition. 5. The law of cause and effect. Currently, science is approaching biological law. For example, test tube fertilization, genetically modified organisms and cloning. However, they have not approached the last 3 dimensions. Buddhism stresses strongly the last 3 for maximal development of nature, to reach complete liberation from suffering. The beings that possess a mind have evolved through the process of nature into human beings and animals which we can see with our eyes. Further development into dimensions of karma and dhamma cannot be seen by human eyes, but those who have trained their minds to reach certain levels of capability can see them. From the human realm, the higher, finer realms are devas, Brahma of the fine material sphere, and Brahma of the immaterial sphere. The lower realms than the human realm are the realms of petas, or hungry ghosts, demons, animals, and beings in hell. All beings, including Brahmas of the fine material sphere, Deva, human, petas, demons, animals, and beings in hell, all have bodies and minds. A body depends on 4 elements and needs to breathe. Therefore, cannot be beyond atmosphere of the earth. Brahma, of the immaterial sphere, however, is without a body and exists in outer space. There are sutras that state that if this world is destroyed by fire, all creatures in this world, right up to Brahma of the fine material Kayika, attainer of the first jhana, will die. If this world is destroyed by water, Brahmas of the fine material Abhasara, attainer of the second jhana, will die. If this world is destroyed by wind, then life up to the Brahmas of the fine material Sabhakinaya, attainer of the third jhana, will die. But Brahmas Vayapala, attainer of the fourth jhana, will not die because they do not have to breathe. Brahmas of the immaterial sphere will not be affected since they do not have bodies. The part of the atmosphere from the Earth up to 15 kilometers is called the troposphere. It contains wind, clouds and rain. Wind directions are both vertical and horizontal. Jumbo 747 jets reaching levels of about 10 kilometers start to fall in air pockets. The part of the atmosphere from 15 to 50 kilometers is called the stratosphere, which contains various layers. The more important is that of the ozone layer, which gives protection from ultraviolet rays from the sun, so living beings on Earth will not be destroyed. The part of the atmosphere from 15 kilometers upwards is called the ionosphere. Nitrogen and oxygen break down into iron. It is about 15,000 kilometers from the Earth's surface. Devas and Brahmas with form will not exist beyond these spheres. This is the conditioned world. Is it only present on the earth in which we live? The answer is that there are countless numbers like in the universe. In solar system where conditions are optimal, conditioned world and beings of all levels from hell to Brahma without form will exist. This is the amazing knowledge of the Buddha concerning the universe, as described in the Chulani Sutta. It describes the solar system that is within reach of sunlight. In the solar system there are human worlds, devas, brahmas, which we've already described. A 1,000 solar systems are called Sahasi Chulanikaloka. 1,000 times 1,000 or 1,000,000 solar systems are called Tawisahasi Machimikaloka. 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 solar systems are called Tisahasi Mahasahasi Kalokadatu. When the Buddha wanted to speak to these 1,000 million solar systems, he could do so by, the first step was to bring light into darkness and to bring darkness into light, because light and darkness do not occur at the same time on all planets. This arose curiosity and interest. In the second step, he created Nilakasina, or green atmosphere, causing 1,000 million solar systems to become green with a terrifying gloom, causing fear amongst beings. In the third step, he increased his radiance, resulting in bright light. A being became perplexed and inspired. In the fourth step, he made all beings in these 1,000 million solar systems hear his voice, which was beautiful beyond description. Dhamma is the law of the universe, the law of nature, the law of life. Dhamma is the teaching of the Buddha. He did not invent but discover the law of the universe as it is. He purified himself and was completely free from all suffering. Then he taught it to the world. All laws are natural processes. No one created them. If someone says God created them, then the question is, who created God? If the answer is God came to be by himself, then our response is that nature could also happen by itself with the right causes and supporting factors. With optimal temperature, the four elements arose, then lives arose. When there were lives, the mind arose. With the mind, karma arose. There was volition to do things wholesome and evil. Evolution led to human beings. We are very fortunate to be born as human beings. We have gone through substantial evolution. Humans differ from animals by the quality of their minds. Minds of animals are filled with instincts like greed, anger, delusion, love and hate. There are two sides of the human mind. The lower one involves lower instincts, and the higher one with control is mindfulness or awareness. Humans are social animals. They have to learn to control their minds in order to comply with the laws of society. Social laws for human beings are based on dana, which is generosity, and sila, which is morality, and to have corresponding results. A small level of dana and sila will lead to birth as a lower class of human being. A medium level of dana and sila will lead to birth as a middle class of human being. A perfect level of dana and sila will lead to birth as an upper class of human being. When human beings continue to progress spiritually, they will enter the higher realms of devas and angels and brahmas. When the good karma is all used up, they will return to the lower realms. Human beings who go the wrong way, doing evil things, will continue into the lower realms of petas, demons and the hell realms, or return as animals. This is why all beings in the world who still travel in the realm of birth and death are subject to uncertainty. They can be born in any realm from hell to heaven. Death and rebirth occur continuously without any end. One who sees the danger of the realm of birth and death will try to seek a way out of this cycle. Those who find a way out and teach this knowledge to others are called the Buddha. They are extremely rare. The life of Earth from the origin to the end is called one kappa, or eon, or about 10,000 million years. In some eons there may be no Buddha at all, or 1 to 2. The world we live in now will have 5 Buddhas. 3 were in the past, but not more than 5. The current one is the 4th, and in the far future, several million years away, there will be another one who will be Maitreya Buddha. When the Buddha came to existence, the ones who wanted to free themselves from the cycle of birth and death would listen to his teachings and then practice accordingly. It was not possible for them to think and discover by themselves. They were the Buddha's disciples, the Arahants. When the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha were all present, Buddhism, Buddhasana, was established as a religion. Buddhism will be present only for a period of time before disappearing from the world. During the period when Buddhism disappears from the world, there will be people who see the danger of the cycle of birth and death. They will try to find a way out, and some may find it by themselves but cannot teach others. These are called silent Buddhas, Pacceka Buddha, and there will be many of them. These silent Buddhas have to build up their perfections, parami, more than Arahants but less than the Buddha. The Buddha's mission is to free worldly beings, including humans, devas and brahmas, from the cycle of birth and death we call samsara. The Buddha accumulated perfections life after life, eon after eon, with the sole purpose of liberating all beings from samsara. It is very fortunate that we have come across the Buddha's teaching. Liberation from the cycle of birth and death can be compared with an astronaut travelling from the Earth to the Moon. The journey from the Earth to the Moon is to travel away from the pull of the Earth and go directly to the Moon. It needs a tremendous amount of energy, as it is not only a journey from the Earth. It needs the right procedure according to the law of nature. Otherwise, the traveller will get lost in space and will not reach his destination. The sequence of travelling to the Moon would be as follows. One, obtain a rocket as a vehicle. 2. Fuel for propulsion. 3. Acquire a manual and directions for travel. For example, the physical and mental states of the astronauts, regular training and troubleshooting and correcting technical difficulties. 4. Train all personnel. 5. Countdown to takeoff. 6. Take off into the atmosphere. 7. Enter the orbit, get away from the pull of the Earth, direct to target. 8. Reach the target. Liberation from the cycle of birth and death may be called a journey from Lokia to Lokutara. Lokia means worldly or mundane. Lokutara means above the worldly or supramundane. To travel from Lokia to Lokutara until Nibbana, or complete liberation, needs the right procedure according to the teachers of Dhamma, and there is only one way. The Dhamma to use for this travel is called Bodhipakkhiyatama 37, or qualities contributing to enlightenment, or another way of translation is Dhamma as wings to Nibbana. Bodhipakkhiyatama 37 can be broken down into 8 groups. The first group is the 4 foundations mindfulness, Satipatthana 4. Includes mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of mind, and mindfulness of Dhamma. This group can be compared to a rocket or vehicle. The second group, Samapadana 4, dealing with the right efforts, includes effort to prevent the unwholesome acts, effort to abandon the unwholesome acts, effort to develop wholesome acts, and effort to maintain the wholesome acts and to grow to full perfection. This group can be compared to the energy required to drive the vehicle. The third group, Idipana 4, path of accomplishment, includes Chanda or aspiration, Viriya or effort, exertion and energy, Sita or attentiveness, Vimamsa or investigation or evaluation. This group can be compared to the manual for success. The fourth group, Indriya 5 or the five sense faculties, includes Sada or confidence, Viriya or energy and effort, Sati or mindfulness, Samadhi or concentration, and Panya or wisdom. This group can be compared to the training of different faculties. The fifth group, Bala 5, the development of the Indriya 5 into more readiness. This group can be compared to readiness of faculties for operation, or counting down to take off. The sixth group, Bojjhanga 7, or factors of enlightenment, includes Sati, or mindfulness, Dhammavikaya, or investigation of Dhammas, Viriya, or effort, Piti, or zest, Pasadi, or calmness and tranquility, Samadhi, or concentration, and Upekkha, or equanimity. This group can be compared to a journey into the atmosphere, or Lokiya. The seventh group is the Noble Eightfold Path, or Magga, which includes Samatiti, or right understanding, Samasankappa, or right thought, Samavaka, or right speech, Samakamanta, or right action, Samaajiva, or right livelihood, Samavayama, or right effort, Samasati, or right mindfulness, and Samasamadhi, or right concentration. This group can be compared to a journey from the earth, or Lokiya, into orbit, or Lokuttara. Eighth is Nibbana, reaching the goal, complete liberation from suffering. This stage can be compared to reaching the target. While in the stage of the Eightfold Path, at the beginning, there is still the worldly pull. With continued effort, the pull will decrease until zero. This is called Gottarabhujana, the stage between the end of Lokiya and the beginning of Lokuttara. From there on, one enters the supramundane, starting from Sotapanna, or stream enterer, who will not be pulled back again to the mundane. With further development, they will transform into Sakadagami, Anagami, and then Arahant, who is completely free from defilement. Nibbana means free from the defilements of greed, hatred, and delusion. The five aggregates become pure. The mind is purified, illuminated and clear. The mind will no longer be unified with the four elements. The mind at the moment of death is called Paranibbana. At the final passing away, all aggregates are extinguished completely. On the night the Buddha attained enlightenment, 45 years before Kanta Parinibbana, at the full moon of the 6th lunar month, in the evening Prince Siddhartha sat under the Bodhi tree in Bodhi Gaya, India. He recalled the past when he was 7 years old, when his father took him along the royal plough ceremony. He sat under a tree, and being mindful of his breath, his mind became concentrated and reached the first stage of absorption, or the first jhana. He then used his breath as a foundation for mindfulness. Since he attained full perfections, or parami, his right efforts and path of accomplishment and five sense faculties were perfected and ready for travel. He then entered the 7 factors of enlightenment. In the first watch of the night, he recalled his many previous lives. In the middle, he could see future births and deaths of beings, but this also was not the way out of suffering. On the last watch, he contemplated the Four Noble Truths of suffering and the way out of suffering. He realized the way out of suffering, which was the Eightfold Path. He directed his mind along the path and attained enlightenment, which is called the knowledge of cessation of defilements. He used this Dharma he discovered to teach for 45 years until his paranibbana. Where does the mind of a Arhat go after death? The Buddha said, not to the earth, not to water, not to fire, not to air, nor to any of the realms, from the hell realms to the realms of the fine material Brahmas. Not to the realm of infinite space, not to the realm of boundless consciousness, not to the realm of nothingness, not to the realm of the immaterial Brahmas, nor any space outside the world. Not to the sun, not to the moon, nor any other solar system in any galaxy. It is not going, it's not coming, not stopping, not travelling, nor stopping anywhere in the universe, including space travel by spaceships of modern day. It has no death, no birth. This is the end of suffering, completely extinguished, like a fire out of fuel. Nibbanam paraman sukham. Nibbana is absolute happiness. Now is a summary of the lecture. Dhamma is the teachings of the Buddha. He did not make this up, but he discovered the mysteries of the universe and the laws of the nature of life. Okasaloka, or universe, is the sky with sparkling stars. Each star is impermanent. It possesses birth, aging, sickness and death because the temperature changes. The star which has optimal temperature will develop according to the law of nature, and it's called the Earth. Sankaraloka, or Earth, the Earth where we live continues to change. Earth start from possessing optimal temperature and then give rise to four elements, then give rise to life. Mind arises to become animals and human beings with bodies and minds. Sita is knowing. Sita is mind-conscious elements. With knowing came delusion and ignorance. Then beings develop and entered into the realms of existence, from hell to the Brahma realm. Then beings the continuous cycle of existence. Most of worldly beings abide in the lower realms such as hell. This is absolute suffering. They are born as animals on earth or devas in heaven only for a temporary time. To qualify for birth in the Brahma world is very difficult. Some teachers have said that going from earth to the realms of the Brahmas is more difficult than going from the realms of Brahma to Nibbana. The cycle of birth and death is called samsara. Upon realizing that samsara is suffering, the Lord Buddha tried hard to find a way to end suffering. He developed himself in Dhamma until he freed himself from ignorance, delusion, and became enlightened. Paticca Samuppada, the chain of causation. Cessation of ignorance leads to the end of karma formations. No desire to go further. Cessation of karma formations lead to the end of consciousness. knowing element is extinguished. Cessation of consciousness leads to the end of body and mind. Cessation of body and mind leads to the end of the sixth sense basis. Cessation of the sixth sense basis leads to the end of contact. Cessation of contact leads to the end of feeling. Cessation of feeling leads to the end of craving. Cessation of craving leads to the end of clinging. Cessation of clinging leads to the end of becoming. The process of rebirth stops. Cessation of becoming leads to the end of birth. Cessation of birth leads to the end of all suffering. The stage of liberation from all suffering is called Nibbana. So Nibbana is the ultimate development in the universe. Nibbana is absolute happiness.